what's up, world? It's your host, KO of The Born Show. I am here live on the campus of Southern Illinois University at Carbondale. This is where it all started for me. Tonight, we're doing a live taping of The Born Show. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Kenny Allen's and The Born Show are registered trademarks. The opinions, views, and ideas expressed by the guests are not necessarily of the producers and creators of the show. Content is a previously recorded live show.
That The Born Show is a relationship based on relationships, trying to be relationships between men and women, if they're in a relationship with each other or when it's just...
The Born Show is a talk show about relationships.
And so, relationship with you?
I would have to say, why is it so hard for me to men?
What is it you would like to know about The Born Show?
I wouldn't call it bad experience.
So, Dapper Dan today. Can you get some reactions? Young lady, you got a minute of your time? What's your name?
I mean, we got KO, right?
Yeah.
So, as far as relationship experience, regarding The Born Show, you only have a show here tonight. You know what
I would really just like to know, the substance of the show, what it might benefit me, how it might learn from it.
How do you think it can help the students here?
Born, building our relationships now. Born, tuned in with KO to Born.
I would like for you to help me welcome Mr. Ryan Reed to the show. Good. So how you doing?
Pretty good.
Everything's okay?
Everything's all right.
Well, let's jump right in. Ryan, I understand that you fathered 4 children by 4 different women by the age of 21. But you're 22, correct? So tell me, what was your experience and what was your relationship like with these women?
Oh, well, the first relationship I had was with my oldest daughter. She's 2 years old. I love her dearly. The relationship with her mother was somewhat of a backup relationship, if I could say that. I mean, not to, try to make the situation seem horrible, but...
What's a backup?
A relationship you really don't want to be in, but you're hurting so bad that you just want to hold on to somebody. And she just happened to be that somebody at the time. The other relationship with the next mother I had, we were together for about 2 years. Physically, it was tormenting. We were both mentally unstable, mentally and emotionally unstable. But it worked out. It had its ups and its downs.
So, without me interrupted, you mentioned hurt. Where did it come from?
I mean, it come from a numerous amount of places, honestly. One that I feel that it came from mostly was not having a father.
So at what age did you first feel pain?
At what age did I first feel pain? When I was 5, when I felt how it felt to lose someone that was close to you, which was my grandmother. And then again, at the age of 7, my father passed.
Wow.
And then again, at the age of 9, when my grandfather passed. Those were all very, very close people to me.
So that had to be very difficult for you.
Yeah. I didn't realize how difficult it was until I got a little bit older. Your father dying, and you're 7 years old, and somewhat trying to get over it. You come back home after leaving the hospital. Your mother said, boys, because it was me and my brother. Boys, Daddy's not coming back home. And to hear that, whatever, he's just playing a joke on me. But then 2 weeks go by and Daddy's still not home. But then, your mother's going through her things, and, she's a single parent now, and she says, I wish I could leave you 2 in Memphis just like your daddy did.
Your mother said this?
Yeah.
So who else did you have to speak to about that besides your mother?
She put us in counseling, which was somewhat beneficial. We would play games, play card games, not really talk about our problems or how to face them, but you know, let's play Uno. That's how we handled our problems.
So let me ask you a question. The fact that you lost your father at 7 and your mom treated you, according to what you said, very terribly, correct? You felt abandoned?
Yeah, I had a lot of abandonment issues, honestly. Holding on to relationships, every relationship, not wanting to let it go. And that's when I felt that first loss of, I don't want to be with you no more.
So the first young lady, she hurt you, and you were 15.
I was 16.
Did you feel like you loved her?
I felt like I loved everybody more than I loved myself, honestly.
Basically because you didn't receive it from your parents.
Yeah, I received it, but I didn't know how to take it because, you know, you can have somebody tell you I love you, but then they hurt you more than anybody else in the world could.
So did you intentionally try to strike out at these women?
Sometimes, yeah. You know, I mean, I hated my mother for some of the things she did. I blamed her for my father passing sometimes. So I almost developed this hatred for women, and not just women, but the man that I should be. You know, my daddy left me, why should I care about you? You know what I'm saying? Like, people didn't understand where it came from growing up in a household with one parent that constantly says, you ain't nothing.
Yes.
You ain't never gonna be nothing. Y'all use me, y'all some using dogs. That's all you ever gonna be. So you start constantly interpreting this as, I guess this is how a dog is supposed to act.
You know, it's unfortunate that we have to experience those things with our parents, because I experienced the same things. I didn't have a father, so I can empathize with you on that. My father did pass away when I was 21, and I didn't meet him until I was 21. So I can definitely understand how you feel. But it has to be very difficult to have a mother who was not on your side. When you had the issues with the women, who did you talk to?
Sex.
That
was my best
So that was
friend.
your way to wrap it up, to make you feel good about the situation.
That was my best friend. I liked her a lot. I fell in love with her. It was more so the sex than it was the relationships. Whoever could please me the best, that's who I was feeling. You know.
So we mentioned earlier 4 women, 4 children. What about the other 2?
Well, the other one was actually, I don't want to say an accident, but it happened due to, you know, stepping out on home one time, you know, and it is really taking a toll on the relationship I'm in now.
So, were these planned? I mean, think about it. You said it was an accident, but you were young.
Yeah.
So did you plan any of these children? Did you plan it?
I mean, I didn't sit down and say, you know what, we're going to have a baby tomorrow.
Right.
And we should start working on it today.
So how do you take care of 4 children in college?
God, I don't know how it happens. I don't take credit for any of it. I mean, I'm a full-time student, heavily involved on campus. You know, I come home to my family every night, but it's hard. You know, working 50 hours a week sometimes, 17 credit hours, and then on top of that, dealing with 4 different emotions from children.
Right.
And 4 different emotions from 4 different women.
Why don't you hold that thought? We're going to take a commercial break. We'll be right back.
The Vaughn Show presents the Women's Platform, coming soon, January 2012. See you soon.
So, Ryan, before the break, you said something about the emotion of 4 women.
Yeah.
How does it feel to be able to have to deal with that? Come from all different areas, all different angles. What does it make you feel like?
I mean, honestly, it's really hard. You know, you look at four babies, 4 babies, because that's what they are, 4 infants. And you look at them and you say, I have to feed you, and you. And I'm responsible for it. I didn't have a daddy to show me how to be a daddy, but I have to take on this role. You know, when people make jokes or they laugh about it, you know, you have 4 children. They don't look at the fact that you're dependent upon by 4 people. You know, your future is in my hands. When you look at daddy, you see, this is my king. That man that you talk about, that man that you say this about, or that man you say that about, that's my daddy. You know, and nobody looks at it like that. They look at it as, like you mentioned before, I'm further than a statistic. I'm 22 years old with 4 children. Not, he's the father of 4 children. It's almost as if he's a baby daddy.
Yes.
And when it comes down to actually thinking about you being a father to your child, honestly, to me it feels like I have no rights at times. I've been through orders of protection. I've been taken to court. I've been withheld from seeing my children from 2 months at a time. You know, I've dealt with all of these issues while yet the public's eye, all they see is he's just the father of 4 babies.
So you have a lot to deal with. What kind of help are you receiving? Do you ever try to receive any counseling?
I go to counseling every Monday. It's funny that you mentioned that, because my counselor broke it down to me today. He said, so your choice of women is almost as if it's nighttime and you're craving that snack. You know, you got a hunger inside of you, but you don't know what you want to eat. You know, you go get you some cookies. No, I want something that's a little more crunchy and a little more salty. So you get some chips. No, that's not good enough. I want something chewy. So you go get some Now and Laters, and that's not good enough either. So in a sense, you're going from person to person to person to heal a wound that no person can ever heal.
Exactly. So the fact that these 4 women, you know, the emotions, they kick in. Somebody's not going to be happy. How do you deal with the fact that one of them, maybe 2 or 3, may want to take you to child support court?
It's scary, because if you break down and check, I've been told so many different stories. You know, the first child gets 20% of your paycheck. The second child, third child, any child after that gets 15%. So when you add that up, that's 20 plus 15, that's 35 plus 15, that's 50. Plus 15. So you just keep going, like, so when will I ever make any money? You know, and a lot of people break it down to you, well, you know, as a father, you should want to pay child support, because you know then your children will be taken care of. But what about that father that's doing the best that he can to supply for his children?
But know something, you're doing the right thing. To be 22 years of age, you're very mature for your age. Even with the way you think, the fact that you have 4 kids and you're trying to take care of each and every one of them. That's brave of you to come on this show and talk about that. So just continue to stay encouraged. It's very important, because in order for your children to be what they need to be, you need to make them, okay? Sometimes our pitfalls and challenges are something that we need, okay, in order to excel. Always keep that confidence. And I'm sure the fact that you're a Kappa, I'm sure you really think that you're a big man on campus with those letters on your chest, right?
No.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth, come on.
No, I can honestly say that at times that makes it a lot harder.
It does.
I'm a Kappa, I'm a pretty boy, you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to do that, but nobody looks at the fact that you are human. You make mistakes. You live your life on an everyday basis just like I do, except you got those letters, so you have to hold your head up high.
I'm glad you said that. Have you ever mentioned this to your Kappa brothers?
I have. But you know, as men, we don't talk about stuff like
exactly.
that. As a man, you know, I talk about it all the time when I'm doing my motivational speeches. I say most times when you ask a man what's wrong, what does he say? Nothing.
Nothing.
So a lot of times men die on the inside with you never knowing what was wrong with them. Brother T.D. Jakes gives a story about a fish. And this man, he only has a fish. That's the only friend he has. Every day he comes home to his fish. And so one day he comes home and he notices something's wrong with his fish, but it's still swimming around. And he wakes up the next morning and his fish is dead. And he doesn't ask, well, I wonder, how did my fish die? His number one question is, Was he screaming in the night and I couldn't hear him? Because as a man, that's probably your child's fear. That's your wife's fear. That's your fear. Is he gonna die without me knowing what's going on with him? And being a father of 22 children, I mean not 22 children.
That's okay. That's okay. That's okay.
But anyway, like I was saying, you know, being 22 years old and being a father of 4 children, a lot of times people pay a lot of attention to the children.
Yes.
You know, you got to make sure he's okay. You got to make sure he's okay. You got to make sure. So out of all of these people that, you know, I take my time out to make sure you're okay. Who's saying about daddy? You know, who's saying about the daddy that didn't have a daddy to show him how to be a daddy? So at the end of the day, I'm trying my best. But who can I please 100%? I'm not with you, so I can't please you 100%. The only way you would be happy, honestly, is if you were with me. But honestly, do you want to be with me? Could you take on the task that my woman takes on every day, knowing that I'm the mother of his child, but I also have to deal with 3 other mothers?
So how is it? The other women, what is it like?
What is it like?
Yes.
What is it like? Imagine waking up every day and you don't want to get up. Imagine some nights going to sleep and your woman is holding you and you still feel like you by yourself.
So as a crutch, is it something that you ever thought you can lean to? Maybe alcohol or drugs, or?
Oh well, yeah. That was my. I refer to that as that was my girlfriend. My addiction.
So that was another girlfriend.
Oh yeah.
So,
I refer to it as a girlfriend because as an addiction, you know she hurts you. I don't say wife, I say girlfriend, because with the wife you could divorce her, never see her again. With this girlfriend, it's almost like all you can do is get a separation from her. You still live together, but maybe today she's upstairs. But she will always be walking around waiting for you. Oh, come on, something bad happened, please, so I can hop in and save you. Or at least that's how it feels at the time when I'm making love to her. And when I say making love, I don't necessarily mean sexual intercourse. I mean maybe putting a blunt to my lips, kissing her. But it's hard. I'm sorry, it's hard to watch anybody else kiss her, knowing I shouldn't be touching this.
So the woman that you're dating now, she respects it. She understands. There are other kids. There are other women. Do you plan to marry her? Is it a thought? Is it a consideration? Because you have to understand, with 4 children, 4 different mothers, it's going to come a time, if for any reason you and this young lady do not make it, that someone else will ask you, do you have any other children? What if they reject you again? Would you resort to drugs or alcohol or anything else greater? That's something to think about.
And that's the scariest part about my life. You know, a lot of people may look at it as he's a Kappa. You know, he might still be able to make it, or, you know, he got a lot going for himself. But then again, I'm a man with 4 different children, and not just 4 different children. It would be different if it was just one other woman that they would possibly have to deal with. For every woman that has come after the one that had the child, it's been harder to deal with the fact that, okay, you know, he got 3 kids, and okay, he got 4 kids. But then again, it's that fear of, will I end up by myself?
Once again, you're doing something great here. Something fantastic. You're coming forward, you're 22 years of age, and you're telling your story to the world. What I see is a young man who was willing to sacrifice himself to help everybody out there. Somebody's listening. You're going to be able to help somebody. But my question to you, if it was one thing that you would tell or give advice to for somebody out there that may be in the same situation or may be thinking about fathering a child, mothering a child in college, what would you say to them? Say it to them. What would you say?
It's not a game. You know, you have to realize that you have a person's life in your hands. You know, a lot of times a lot of people fall in love with that fairy tale story of, I'm gonna get pregnant, we're gonna have a baby, and we're gonna spend the rest of our lives together. But they don't look at the fact that one day, if you just so happen to separate, like 3 of my children, or maybe all 4 of them one day may have to face, the question is, Daddy, why can't I live with you?
Right.
You know, so when you make these decisions to go out and have sex, because, you know, in today's society, sex is something that's really not thought about. It's just done.
Mm-hmm.
You know, wrap it up.
Think about it.
You know,
5 minutes of pleasure could be a lifetime of pain.
Well, thank you for joining the show, Ryan. We're going to take a commercial break.
So Ryan, let's see if the audience have any questions for you. Anyone in the audience have a question?
Why you never, well, you probably did, but like, why you never, like, after your first baby and your second baby, like, consider using condoms?
So your question is, after the first and second baby, why didn't Ryan use condoms?
Yes.
I considered using condoms.
What, you ain't like the feeling and didn't feel the same?
I mean, when you shacked up, like most of us know, you feel like that's a reason not to use them. You know, that's my wifey. You know, I ain't gotta use condoms. I just happen to have too many wifeys.
Okay. Any more questions? Right.
What are you and your mother's relationship as of today?
My mother?
Yeah.
Where is your relationship with your mother today?
Okay. It's very good. You know, years and years of counseling, Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, Alateen, all of that, it's put us in a great aspect. You know, I look at things in a different light. I look at it and I accept the fact that she was hurting when she was saying these things. Just like I was hurting when I might have said some things to her or did some things to her. You know, but we have a very close relationship. She is probably the greatest grandmother on earth. She can't replace me as a father, but when I can't be in Chicago, at least that's where my children are while I'm away at school, she helps raise 3 of my children. So she lets Granny take over sometimes, but you know, you gotta love her.
We have time for 2 more questions. In the back.
You said you had a brother. Did he go through the same or similar things that you went through?
So your question is, did his brother experience the same things that he experienced?
Yeah.
My brother and I were total opposites. I loved women. He just wanted one. And, you know, I envied my brother a lot because it took several women to do for me what one could do for him. But we were 2 totally different people, looking at life in 2 totally different spectrums. While I tried to receive help and realize that I had a problem, my brother on the other end medicated his pain and his hurt with liquor, with weed, and continued to do it. Both of us faced a lot of trials and tribulations in life, but I, on the other hand, took it different. One time we were in counseling, my brother actually, the question was asked, are you more homicidal or suicidal? And my brother said homicidal, and I said suicidal, which evidence showed. My brother was in 6th grade getting into fights with 8th graders, stomping them in the ground, throwing them, hitting them with chairs, getting kicked out of schools, while I was faced with being in the psychiatric hospital twice for trying to attempt to kill myself. So that's why at times, you know, when you look at a person and you say, oh, she ain't nothing but a, or, you know, oh, he ain't nothing but a, maybe that's not all he is. You know, a lot of times it hurts to realize, and this is what I'm saying for the viewers, we base our opinions of ourselves off of what other people say about us. You only think you're pretty because somebody told you that. And you only think you're ugly because somebody told you that. When somebody says, oh, you a hoe, is that all you are? You know, and a lot of times, especially from my perspective, you have to think, 22 years old, 4 kids, 4 baby mamas, or is it He's 22 years old and the father of 4 different children with 4 different women, trying his hardest, making it through college, has held several events on campus, and realized that he doesn't have to be selfish, but he tries his hardest to give back to society by any means. You know, and that's the thing, as a human race, we don't look at each other like that. We just look at what you got going on around you inside instead of what you got going on inside you know. And the only time that you will feel sorry for me possibly is if I tell you, you know, I tried to kill myself. Oh, wow. Why should it take that? You know, that girl that you calling a hoe and she ain't did this and she ain't did that. I had an event entitled the Can I Live rally, where a young lady who was actually one of those, she a hoe, was raped by her father when she was 8 years old, got impregnated by her father when she was 11, and was forced to give up the baby for adoption. This is a baby that she's trying to fight to get back right now. That same girl that you said, she a hoe. Or better yet, that other girl that you called a hoe was raped by her cousins. Both of them at the same time. One of them actually forced her to give him oral pleasures, urinating into her mouth, and she couldn't eat for 2 weeks. You know, these are the people that we look at on an everyday basis, and we label and we judge and we say, oh my God, you ain't this and you ain't that. Well, you know what? Maybe God didn't deal me the same hand he dealt you. But I'm working with what I got. And that's one thing that I can say. You gotta use what you got to get where you're going. Yes, I'm the father of 4 children. I'm worth $4 million at least. Every child that I have is $1 million investment, at least.
Any more questions?
Is there anything you regret?
So your question to Ryan is there anything that he regrets?
In life, we have a lot of regrets. You know, constantly hearing that, oh, you're the father of 4 kids, a lot of times you wish you could just erase that. But then again, I hold my baby and I look at my baby and I look in his eyes or her eyes. And I look at what I was, and they look back at me at what they might be one day. And when I think about it, man, I wish I didn't have you. Just picture me just taking them and throwing them out the window. Maybe that's what I did when I had an abortion. I mean, I'm the father of 4 children, but little do you know I should be the father of 14. Just a little bit about me, you know, that person that you labeled. I've had about 10 abortions in my life. 10 abortions, I don't know how many miscarriages, probably maybe 8, 9. But you know, I was that dude that in high school, oh man, he getting this, he getting this, he getting this. Or not looking at it like, oh, he's hurting her, he's hurting her, he's hurting himself. Because that's what we glamorize. Men that have sex with the most amount of women, those are the players. Not the AIDS carriers. Not the ones that have all the diseases that he's possibly sharing with your daughter. We don't look at it like that. They're players, but let a woman do it. Oh, she's a hoe. Did you think maybe she was just hurting just as bad as that man was? And we both clinging on to something so tight because we never had that hug from our daddy, our mama. You know, society tries to break you down, but who's gonna build you back up?
We have time for one more question. Anybody?
If you had an opportunity to change anything in your life that you think would make your life, I don't want to say better, but that would change your life drastically, what would it be?
So your question is, if it was anything in his life, what would he change? That would change drastically?
Yeah,
that he could change drastically.
The way I allow the negativity to affect my life. You know, one of my closest fraternity brothers told me, he said, you know, negativity is so light. That's why when rumors spread, they spread like that. You know, you say something bad about somebody, it's gonna shoot to the next person. But when you're doing something positive, it weighs so much. Yeah, it takes a while for it to get around, but once it gets around and it sets, it'll lay on you for a while. You know, and I guess one thing that I wish I could change is I wish I could look at every experience in my life that I've been through, as well as the rest of you. I wish I could just look at it and say, you know what? I learned something from that. I lost my job. That must mean I got something better coming my way. I'm a father of 4 kids. You know what? God might bless me with another one. Because that auntie of yours or that uncle or that mama that you might have, your adopted mother that never could have children. You see, God blessed me with 4.
Well, Ryan, I want to thank you. That was very brave of you. Thank you so much for joining the trip. We're going to take a commercial break. We'll be back with my final thoughts.
Connect with Kenny and the Born Show team at www.bornshow.com.
Welcome back. Now for my final thoughts. You've just heard it. A young man, 22 years of age, fathered 4 children by 4 different women. He was a brave young man to come here to share before the world the turmoil, the pain, the ups and downs that he had to experience, not just now, but early in his life as a child. But there's still more room, there's still more time for him to deal with certain things. But from what you've heard, this young man is on his way to doing the right thing. It was not easy. There's a lot going on out here. There's a saying, pain is a temporary inconvenience. Well, it all depends on what kind of pain that is. It could be a heartache type of pain, which can last a lifetime, especially if you allow it to lie dormant. Or it could be an ankle injury type of pain, which could last just 2 weeks. But you have to think about what type of pain you want to deal with. I would just encourage you to deal with that pain. Tackle that pain. Stop being in pain. Love yourself. Learn how to love yourself. The Born Show is all about healing. It's all about releasing pain. Many of us have it, but we are afraid to talk about it. I'm sure my viewers out there had an opportunity of seeing this show, and it's helped someone. So I just want to say thank you, and I want to say thank Ryan for being on the show. 5 minutes of pleasure can be a lifetime of pain. Believe in the healer. Thank you. See you next time.
Born, building our relationships now.